So, when you think of the phrase down under, what comes to mind? Let's be honest, it's probably kangaroos and kiwis, right? Well, today, we're going to go way beyond the stereotypes. We are diving into the real story of Australia and New Zealand, two neighbors that get lumped together all the time, but are, as you're about to see, worlds apart. All right, let's jump right in. You look at a map, and sure, they look like neighbors just hanging out in the Southern Pacific. But look a little closer. I mean, even their rocks tell a different story. These places were forged by totally different forces on completely different schedules, and that created two profoundly unique identities. So, that's our big question for today, isn't it? We're going to take a journey through their landscapes, their wildlife, their economies, and even their societies to really uncover the surprising and honestly fascinating contrasts between these two giants of the Southern Hemisphere. And the best place to start, well, it's the most fundamental difference of all, their sheer physical size. You've got an entire continent versus a collection of islands. And that one simple fact, well, it changes absolutely everything. Okay, the numbers here really do speak for themselves. Australia is nearly 30 times bigger than New Zealand, but only has about 5 times the population. Can you imagine that sense of space? But here's the crazy part, the real twist. Look at the highest peaks. Tiny, mountainous New Zealand absolutely towers over flat, ancient Australia. How wild is that? And this right here, this is what those numbers actually look like on the ground. On the left, you've got the Australian outback. Ancient, weathered, just overwhelmingly vast and dry. And on the right, that's New Zealand's fjordland, geologically young, carved up by glaciers and water, and just unbelievably dramatic. You're looking at two completely different worlds. Let's really drill down on Australia's identity for a second. It's one of the oldest, flattest, and driest continents on Earth. A staggering 2/3 of the country is desert. We're talking places where it might not rain for years at a time. This unforgiving landscape has shaped everything, from where people can live to the incredible animals that learn to survive there. Now let's just flip that completely on its head for New Zealand. It's a young country, geologically speaking. It's still being actively shaped by volcanoes and tectonic plates. It's so long and narrow that no matter where you are, you're never more than a short drive from the ocean. It's a place defined by its jagged mountains and lots of rain. It's a lush, green landscape that could not be more different from its neighbor. So, how did all that geography affect the locals? I mean, the animal locals, of course. Well, being isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years, both countries basically became these incredible, isolated playgrounds for evolution, producing some of the absolute strangest creatures on the entire planet. So to really get a handle on Australian wildlife, you gotta know one key group, the marsupials. You know them, kangaroos, koalas. They're mammals that give birth to these tiny, super underdeveloped babies, which then crawl into a pouch on the mom's front to finish growing. It's a really unique strategy, and Australia is basically its global headquarters. And the most famous marsupial is, of course, the kangaroo. But check out these stats, they're insane. The biggest ones can be as tall as a person, cover more than 4 meters in a single hop, and cruise along at 70 kilometers an hour. I mean, they are truly incredible biological machines. Just when you thought Australian animals couldn't get any weirder, meet the monotremes. This quote here, it's describing the platypus and the echidna. Let me say that again. They lay eggs like a reptile, but they feed their babies milk like a mammal. No other animals in the world do this. It's just mind-blowing. So Australia is the land of bizarre mammals. But New Zealand's evolutionary story? It might be even stranger. Before humans showed up, there were no native land mammals. At all. None. That whole ecological role that's filled by mammals everywhere else in the world was just completely open. So who filled that space? Birds did. With no predators running around on the ground, a lot of birds, like the iconic kiwi, just stopped flying. They grew strong legs for walking and, in the kiwi's case, developed an incredible sense of smell to find food in the dirt, a trait that's almost unheard of in the bird world. And if you want to talk about ancient, look no further than the tuatara. This reptile is a genuine living fossil. It's the last survivor of an entire group of reptiles that chilled with the dinosaurs. It's barely changed in 200 million years. And get this, it has a light-sensitive third eye on the top of its head. It is truly a creature from another time. Okay, let's switch gears from the natural world to the human one. How did these two unique nations actually build their wealth? Well, for a long time, their economic stories were surprisingly similar. And it all started with one very, very important farm animal. This old phrase, living off the sheep's back, it perfectly captures how both the Australian and New Zealand economies got their start. For generations, their wealth, their prosperity, it was all built on wool and meat. They basically became Great Britain's giant farm, shipping all this stuff halfway across the world. And this image, wow, it really gives you a sense of the incredible scale of it all. The country wasn't just shaped by mountains and coastlines, but by these massive flocks of sheep that, for a very long time, were the engine of the entire economy. Let's just put a number on that, 10. That's how many sheep there are for every single person in New Zealand. With about 4 million people and 40 million sheep, its importance to their history and their national identity is just impossible to overstate. But that was then. Things have changed, big time. Look at the modern Australian economy. Just like other developed countries, the service industry, we're talking finance, tourism, tech, that now makes up almost 70% of the whole economy. And while there's still a powerhouse in mining and farming, the farm and the factory just aren't king anymore. New Zealand has seen a really similar shift too, using its insane landscapes for tourism and becoming a world leader in agricultural tech. So what about the people? How did these landscapes and economies shape their societies? Well, they created two very distinct national characters. You could say Australia's story is one of rugged pioneers, taming a vast, harsh continent. New Zealand's, on the other hand, is a story of progressive idealists trying to build a new kind of nation from scratch. You know, New Zealand has often been like a social laboratory for the rest of the world. As you can see, it has consistently been a global trailblazer. While Australia was busy with the monumental task of just settling its massive, difficult interior, which created this spirit of tough self-reliance, New Zealand's more manageable scale kind of allowed it to look outward, to lead the world on huge issues from voting rights to social welfare. And here it is. This is what that world-first moment in 1893 actually looked like. This photo just captures that spirit of progress, that willingness to try something new and chart a new course. And that's really been a theme throughout so much of New Zealand's history. So, from their ancient geology all the way to their bizarre wildlife, from their shared beginnings on the back of a sheep to their very distinct societies, we've seen how Australia and New Zealand were forged into two truly unique nations, each shaped by its own incredible story. Ancient deserts and soaring fjords, egg-laying mammals and flightless birds, the spirit of the pioneer and the vision of the progressive. It's all there, waiting for you down under. The only real question left is, what will you discover? Thanks so much for joining me.